What's up, you guys? I'm just going to talk about the fantasy books that got me into the genre. First up on the list, I don't have the copy. I gave it to my friend so she could read it. So she's loaning it right now, but that is Beasts of Prey. And what I really love about the story is, first of all, it's African mythology. And I love the characters in it too. I really feel like Ayana Gray really just describes the characters so well. Her style of writing is amazing. I love the magical elements of it. I love that there's a beast that they have to hunt down and everyone has their own purpose of finding it, and the twist about the beast is really, really interesting. I absolutely love it. All of the characters are really cool, and it's just a really good trilogy, really, to be quite honest. Not even just like Beasts of Prey. The first one, but all three of them are amazing stories. And for Beasts of War, I listened to that on audiobook. The people who are reading it, the voice actors, they were so good and so moving. When it came up to the point where one of the characters in the stories pretty much says the title of it, I love the way that the person who voiced her was just so powerful in the way she said it. It was so good. I was like, yeah, this is good. This hits. I just absolutely love the story. I love the imagery of it. I love the writing style. Everything about it was just absolutely amazing for me. Excuse the bonnet, I got my hair done and my braids hurt, so it hurts to take it off and it hurt putting it on, and I don't feel like taking it back off, so this is what you're gonna get. But next book is Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi, and I absolutely love this book. African mythology, again, truly amazing. I love how the element of magic is tied to their hair. I actually absolutely love that part of the story. I love the characters. I haven't finished the other stories yet. I haven't gotten to them, but I do have the second one. I got it from the library, and I have the physical copy of the third one. But so far, I love the characters, I love the storyline, and the twists are so interesting. They're truly fascinating, and I'm so excited to read the rest because I feel like this is gonna be a trilogy that I actually want to finish. And I don't really read series or trilogies all that often, so the fact that I have read Ayana Gray's and I'm reading Children of Blood and Bone trilogy, there is only so many series or trilogies that I'm actually going to read, so I feel like these two are the exception. Okay, so now the next story isn't technically fantasy, but it has fantastical elements to it, and I would say it's Wayward by Emilia Hart. It has some magical elements in it when it comes to the women in the story. It's traumatic. I'm gonna tell you that right now. There is a traumatic storyline behind each of the characters in the story, but it's so good, and I love how all the women are tied to nature and how nature really defends them and protects them in a sense, but also just how the women in the story really navigate such traumatic instances. You'll find out with one of the characters what she's endured, and just how they can find their power and hope again in nature, and kind of bring themselves back to a version of themselves that has power, control, and the confidence. All right, so another book is actually Wilder Women by Ruth Emmy Lang, and so the sisters in this one, they have different psychic abilities, so it has kind of a fantastical, magical element to it. And these sisters are very interesting. One can actually has memories of other people's memories. And so part of the story is that the older sister who is taking her along to find their mom, the sister who has the memories of other people, it gets kind of hard to distinguish if it's her memories or somebody else's. So there's that blurred line of whose perception is it and who she really is in the situation, because their mom had disappeared and they have no trace of finding her, but the older sister kind of remembers what happened the night their mom left, but the end of it is really magical. It's it has magical elements in it of what happened to her mother and what happens to them. It's very interesting. I absolutely thought it was really beautiful and very interesting, and I just love the story, so this is definitely another one. Another story that got me into fantasy. I don't have the physical copy. I read it on my Kindle. It's Magic in the Moonlight. And what I love about this one is the fact that the main character, she very much is like separated from this life of her lineage. So she inherits a house from her aunt, and her aunt was very much like a recluse, and very much like, I would say like the lone wolf, the black sheep of the family. So very much everyone was just like, we don't talk to her. She's kind of weird. She claims that she's a witch, you know, type of thing. And so she gets in the house and she starts to discover things. She's like, maybe my aunt really was a witch, and not just like she's a witch. She makes like really weird potions, but they don't actually do anything. Like, she actually starts to discover that her aunt is a witch and that she's a witch. There is a talking cactus, so that's also really cute. And it's a reverse harem book. So there is a gay couple that becomes interested in her, and so they end up being kind of like a throuple. I know I just gave it away, but I mean, it is a white choose, so that's that kind of ending. And the other people that are tied to this magical world kind of want her magic and want the house. So it's very interesting. She's very rooted in nature, so she's like slowly discovering her powers. I will say though, it did take some time to pick up to get to that point, but it was a really good book. I highly recommend it. I believe it's actually a trilogy or a series, so I gotta get around to reading that too. That's just another one that's on the list of other books. And the last one on my list is Skin of the Sea by Natasha Bowen. That one is a really good one, really good book. I believe it's also a trilogy as well. And that one has mermaids, so it's a different type of fantasy, different type of magic system. And it's African mythology. I absolutely loved it. I love the characters. I love how Natasha, literally, I feel like it's just like her description of everything was just like so beautiful. I'm like, ooh, that sounds so cool. So interesting. I absolutely love it. And her storytelling in general, it was just really good. I absolutely love it. I ate the entire book up. Truly fantastic. And I'm excited to read more for work and just get more into fantasy. But I have criteria when it comes to my fantasy books. Number one, I need more culture. I need African mythology. I will take like any Asian mythology, Celtic mythology. Like, give me something that is like rooted in culture. I don't need just random magic systems that people have created for a book. Like, that's not what I'm gonna rock. That's not gonna rock with me. I need more. I needed something rooted in actually something instead of just making it up as you go. That's just me. Also, I don't like it when it's like based off of one person being the hero. I feel like that's very much like, that's a lot to rely on one person. And I know that Beast of Prey kind of relies on one person to like save everybody, but everyone else is still very important in terms of like how they navigate there are other things that go on within the story too that are extremely crucial to the magic itself and saving everybody else. Like in the first one, we have our main character who literally is battling the forest the entire time, all based off of his perception of the forest. Like, that's what I got from it. It was very much dependent on him of how he views the forest and what his mindset is when he's in there. I feel like that was extremely powerful. I absolutely love it. It was very interesting because that's when I started to really piece together, like, it kind of relies on your state of mind and those who go into the forest and what they experience, minus obviously the god of the forest that was causing most of the problems. But still, it still had that element of it. So it wasn't just based off of our female main character. He had a significant part of it too. Like in Skin of the Sea, it wasn't reliant on Simi Dele to save everybody. She was part of it, but it also really relies on other people to really save everybody. I don't want to give it away. But there's just like more to it. I need stories like that kind of rely on other characters to be huge significance to saving everybody, saving the town. It's not just like one person. or like one person has to give up all the power to save everybody. Like, I don't like that either. I need more. It's gonna get extremely picky, but I am not for I am not for a one bed trope. Absolutely not. We're not doing that. One bed trope. I don't need like a grumpy sunshine duo. I don't need that. I need both of them to just be like complete assholes to each other without grumpy sunshine in the mix. Like, I need traumatic backstory. They had a lot going on between them. They just have like a strong past, or they're like really connected to each other, or even if they're not truly like deeply connected to each other, they've both been impacted in such a traumatic way that brings them together to solve something. Back to Beasts of Prey, our main characters, they are not literally like they had like history together, but they both have such a significance when it comes to the beasts and how that impacts their mindset, their family, and their traumatic experiences, that brings them together to find the beast and all that good stuff. But I just need that, like, just not one. No one bed, no grumpy sunshine mix. Also, I don't need any explicit scenes in my fantasy, so I will not be reading Sarah J Maas. That is not for me. I don't need any of that in there. Just give me some magic, give me some mythology, so give me some like cultural basis of it, make it interesting. Also, I don't need vampires. I know the whole point of fantasy is to have characters like vampires, werewolves, witches, fairies, fae, like all that stuff. But I tried to read fairies and fae, and I forget which book it was, but Spindlefire. It was a Spindlefire. I can't do fairies and fae. I'm just gonna be completely honest. Vampires, I don't know, because I feel like Twilight ruined that for me. I read all the books. I watched the first movie and immediately I was like, yeah, I'm not watching the rest of the movies. I'm done with vampires. So it has to be like at least a good story when it comes to vampires. It can't be like the typical fan fiction where it's like a pale girl that's like vitamin D deficient that faints all the time. Like, I'm not rocking with that. Like, if you can give me like a black vampire, like Anne Rice's Interview with the Vampire, like give me that, then I might work with it. Werewolves, same as well. Like, I just need something more to it for me to actually read it. But I draw the line at fairies and fae. I'm not reading anything with fairies and fae in it. It was complicated. I don't know why, but for me, my head could not wrap around fairies, fae, even though it's the same freaking thing. But when I was reading the story, I just got so confused on who was who and which one was a good fairy, bad. I just didn't like it. I couldn't get into it. So that's something I cannot do when it comes to fantasy books. So that's just my criteria. It's kind of weird. Very specific. All right, so if you like or have read any of the books that I talked about, please drop it in the comments below, your opinions on the books, or drop down any recommendations for me to read. I am looking to expand it a little bit more. If there's literally like a vampire fantasy that you think might challenge me, please drop that in. I'm interested. I'll think about adding it to the list for 2025. I'm willing to try it and just read a little bit more in the fantasy genre, because I don't read all that much in fantasy. I mean, like, I listed quite a few books, but still my most read genre is like mystery and thriller. So that is a huge shift for me to like get into fantasy. But those are the books that really like got me into it and what I really look for in my fantasy books. So until next time, stay magical. Bye.